It's Wednesday, the 11th of November 2020. Welcome to Fear and Greed Business Headlines, the business news you need in just 5 minutes. I'm Sean Aylmer. Today's headlines. A crazy day on the local share market as news of a potential COVID-19 vaccine sent some share prices soaring and others tumbling. That's our main story. Plus, Labor frontbencher Joel Fitzgibbon steps down, putting pressure on leader Anthony Albanese. Business confidence rises as the economy reopens, and a big loss for the tax office in its efforts to get multinationals to pay more tax. There were some very happy business leaders yesterday following the Pfizer vaccine announcement. The S&P ASX 200 ended the day up 0.7%, but that number masked some incredible moves among stocks. The travel and tourism industry led the way. Qantas Chief Executive Alan Joyce said it was the best news the industry had had all year. Sydney Airport boss Jeff Colbert said it was a real morale booster, and it was also a real share price booster, with Qantas finishing yesterday up 8% and Sydney Airport up almost 10%. The bankers were happy too, and not just for health reasons. A stronger economy means fewer bad loans and eventually higher interest rates. That makes it easier for banks to make money. National Australia Bank Chief Executive Ross McEwen said he was optimistic about a business-led recovery where new jobs would be created. The flip side yesterday were the stocks that had done well during the pandemic. Data storage and logistics property groups suffered, as did tech stocks and several healthcare companies. Helping sentiment overall was the Morrison government's announcement to extend job seeker payments until March at a reduced rate. Head of the Australian Retailers Association, Paul Zara, said the extension would help with Christmas sales, but that didn't help their share prices. Really crazy day, typifying the crazy year we've had thus far. In overseas news, President-elect Joe Biden has appointed a 12-person COVID task force and said it would be his number one priority after taking office in January. There were more than 130,000 new cases of the virus in the US announced yesterday. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump is losing supporters among his own Republican Party as he continues the legal fight against his defeat and refuses to concede. Senior Republicans have begun distancing themselves from Mr. Trump's unsubstantiated claims of voter fraud, although Attorney General William Barr has authorised the Department of Justice to investigate the claims. Europe's daily COVID-19 death toll has surpassed a previous peak in April, with almost 8,000 deaths a day. Boeing's share price hit its highest level in several months overnight after regulators said it could allow the troubled 737 MAX to fly again. And the Alibaba Group will today kick off the world's biggest 24-hour shopping frenzy, where hundreds of millions of Chinese take advantage of sales and what is called Singles Day. Locally, Labor veteran Joel Fitzgibbon has quit the front bench of the federal opposition, citing what he says is an overly aggressive strategy to reduce carbon emissions. Mr. Fitzgibbon has argued that Labor needed a more conservative approach to climate change to win back blue-collar workers, many of whom are in his electorate in the Hunter region in New South Wales. Labor is targeting net zero emissions by 2050. Big business is regularly accused of squeezing small business. As a result, the federal and state governments have agreed to new fines and penalties for big businesses entering into unfair contracts with consumers and small businesses. The National Australia Bank Business Confidence Index has risen 9 points to 5 points, the highest level since mid-2019. NAB said the end of lockdowns in Victoria and falling COVID-19 cases triggered the improved sentiment. There's no news on the COVID-19 front in Australia, no new cases, no fights about border closures, no business complaints about Daniel Andrews. That in itself is news. The South Australian budget was released yesterday. There's help for tradespeople, spending on road tunnels and some payroll and land tax relief. Also, there are cash handouts for small businesses. Mining giant Glencore has had a partial legal victory about transfer pricing over the Australian Tax Office in an important decision for multinationals operating in Australia. Glencore appealed a $92 million tax bill on the basis that agreements between two related parties, that's two different parts of Glencore, should be treated the same as if it were between Glencore and a third party. The federal court agreed, and Glencore will be required to only pay $2 million. Being able to treat a related entity like a third party is a big win for multinationals. That's your Fear and Greed business headlines for today. There's more on all of these stories in today's full Fear and Greed podcast, as well as an interview with Craig Shepherd from Mentha with some crucial advice for businesses navigating challenging times. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.